Welcome to the Why Dad podcast. We are your hosts, Paul Wandry and Andrew Stopelstead, and we are on a mission to figure out what it means to be a man, a husband, and father, and how to be the ones that our families need and deserve. To help us on that journey today, we have a guest, John McManus, a men's strength and nutrition coach who's helping dads step back into who they're actually called to be. Sean works with men who feel stuck, tired, or like they're drifting a bit and helps them rebuild from the ground up, not just physically, but as husbands, fathers, and leaders in their home. In this episode, we're diving into what it really looks like to lead yourself first, how that impacts your family, and how dads can start showing up with more energy, clarity, and intention. Sean, welcome to the show.
Paul, Andrew, thank you guys for having me. I'm excited for our conversation today and excited for the positive impact that it hopefully will have. So let's do it.
We're so happy to have you on as well. So thank you for making time for us.
Of course, man.
Yeah, it's super stoked for this conversation. We'll start our episode the way we do almost all of our episodes with guests, and that is with the deep question of what is the most dad thing you've done this week?
The most dad thing I have done this week. Oh, that's a good question. The most dad thing I've done this week. Well, I have a 2-year-old that is currently potty training, and I took the boys to get haircuts. Went to the barbershop on Thursday, and my 2-year-old is doing pretty well with his potty training, but we had a bit of an accident at the barbershop, and so we went out to the truck because I left the diaper bag in the truck because I usually don't need it for the hour that we're in there, hour and a half that we're in there. But went out to the truck and got the necessary utensils and laid him down on the tailgate, and I was like, "Hey, bro, are you done?" And he was like, "No, still pooping." And I'm like, "Okay, well, how about we wrap this thing up?" And I'm like, "Do you need to stand up?" He's like, "Yeah." So I stood him up, and we're just standing outside on the tailgate. And I said, "Are you done?" He's like, "No, still pooping." I'm like, "Okay." And this is like, I'm in the middle of a haircut. Like, I'm getting ready to get my neck shaved. Like, I had to ditch the bib and run across and get him. So I was like, "Okay, well, do you need to finish in the toilet?" And he's like, "Sure." Like, okay. So I take him inside. I've got I had his pants off, like his shoes off. We're halfway through a change, so I'm grabbing everything. We go back into the barbershop and sit him on the toilet. He's on the toilet for about 2.5 seconds. Nothing happens. He's like, "I'm done." I'm like, "Could have told me this outside, bro." So we finished up, cleaned all that up, and that stinking bomb, and wrapped it up and stuck it in the diaper bag and threw it in the back of the truck so we could throw it away when we got home. That is the most dad thing I've done this week.
Yep, that tracks, man. Oh, man. And I think, for every dad listening to this, like, if you haven't encountered that, I'm sure there's some, laughing silently as they're like, "Yep, been there." And then there are those who are like, "Uh-oh, that's my future."
Right.
This is a nightmare.
Yeah. But yeah, hey, yeah. I have my 5-year-old and then my 1-year-old. So I think, in a year or two, I'll probably be encountering that with my son. And that'll be like, you have 2 boys, right?
Yes. Yep.
So I'm sure potty training a boy is very different from potty training a girl. At least that's what I've heard, target practice and all. So
Yes. I've never had to potty train a girl, but the boys are fun. It's interesting. For sure.
there's, have you seen Daddy Daycare?
Yes. It's been a long time, but yes.
Okay. You might remember this scene though. Like they start the daycare, and then, this one kid who's, like 4 or 5 or whatever, should be fully potty trained, isn't. And they're like, "No, this stops now." So he goes into the bathroom and he's like in there for a long time. And then he comes out and, oh my goodness, why am I, Eddie Murphy, right? He like opens the door and you just see his eyes just like look up and all around and, insinuating that the mess is on the ceilings and walls and everything. How accurate does that track with potty training a boy?
We haven't had one that horrible yet, but
Knock on wood.
the 2-year-old has knock on wood, but my 2-year-old has in the past like tried to check to see if he's gone using his hands, and I'm like, that's not a good option. Let's not do that. We can all smell it. It's good. We know.
Oh man,
That tracks.
Okay, well,
yeah.
before this
Paul.
episode, yeah, I know.
It's coming.
Oh man. Before this episode turns into a potty training episode, we'll move on. But yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. I think we can all relate, and those are moments where we're just like whether it's potty training or something else, it's just like, you're just breathing through the moment. You're trying to, you're like, if you could have told me that, 5, 10, 15 minutes before, my goodness. Um, all right. So, Sean, when we were talking in the pre-interview, you talked a little bit about your journey, and one point that stuck out to me was, you and your wife just had your first boy. Um, um, and as you put it, it's not like you weren't on the brink of divorce, but you guys, you were in a rough patch. So take me back to that moment, and if you're willing, can you share like who was Sean at that point? Who were you as a man, as a husband, as a father?
Yeah, great question. So it was one of those times when, it was a very new stage. We had been married for three years, I think, by that point. And so we had gotten into, a decent rhythm in terms of like what it looks like for us to be married and to live together and do all of those things, which was good. And then obviously we were super excited to welcome our son. And so, we had him, and it's one of those instances, like, I don't think anybody can prepare you for bringing your first child home, because, it was like they, told us that we could leave the hospital. I'm losing my words here, but they told us we could leave the hospital. And we were just like, I looked at her and she looked at me, and I'm like, we're allowed to take this guy home, like, by ourselves? Do they know that we have no idea what the heck we're doing? So, we got him, we put him in his car seat, and I'm like, I don't know how to cinch him down. Is this enough? Is this not enough? And we go see the nurses, and they're like, okay, yeah, it's tight enough. And then, like, I felt like I had to learn how to drive all over again, because I'm like, this is, man, like there's an itty bitty little baby in the back seat. So we had that anyway, that whole thing of like, this is just crazy. And so we get home and we start, trying to figure out what our rhythms are going to look like. And of course, neither one of us are sleeping. And just the more we went on and the more we just kind of learned and grew, it was just like, my wife was struggling with some stuff, with some postpartum stuff. And I was struggling with, like, how do I guide her through this? Like, who am I supposed to be to help her through this? This is, neither one of us are sleeping well. We're both nervous. We're both anxious because we have this little one that we're now in charge of and that we now have to care for. And it was just scary, truthfully, and just not scary to where, like, you're just paralyzed all the time, but scary to the point of, like, I hope that we're doing the right things. She's getting upset at me for things, and I don't even understand it. And, like, I'm getting upset with her, and I don't understand it because, like, I'm sleep deprived and she's sleep deprived, and her hormones are all over the place, and she
Yeah.
doesn't understand them, and I don't understand them. And so I just remember, like, having this thought of, this is not what I signed up for. Truthfully,
Mhm.
it was just like, I don't know what this is supposed to look like, but if this is what the next, like, 40 or 50 years is going to be, like, this is going to be really hard.
Yeah.
And so I started looking and searching for things of, like, how do I become better? How do I make this better? Like, what kind of man am I supposed to be? Husband am I supposed to be? Father am I
Mhm.
supposed to be? Like, how do I make myself better so that this situation can become better? And that's really what I started searching for, because, like, at the time felt like I was a decent husband and a decent father. I also really struggled with patience. Like, I didn't have a lot of
Mhm.
patience with myself. I didn't have a lot of
Mhm.
patience with her. I didn't have a lot of patience with our son. And, all of this put together with the fact that I'm sleep deprived. So, and I just honestly didn't know what to do 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And so I started searching, started looking, listening to podcasts, reading books. And I came across this coaching program designed to help Christian men become better men so that they can lead their families better. And,
Mhm.
I started looking into that, and ended up going with that. And that was the first, like, coaching mentorship that I had actually invested in. And that was just an absolute game changer, because it was men that I was surrounding myself with that had been through what I was going through, and that were on the other side of it, and that they had learned, like, how to deal with certain things. And, they were
Mhm.
taking a biblical approach on what does it look like to be a godly man, because it's not, with my Christian background, like, that's not something that you see a lot of the times in church. And
Right.
so when, like, boys grow up and they become men, like, I had a wonderful father. And so I had a really good father figure. So that was a blessing.
Mhm.
But there was still, like, things of, like, what do I do here and how do I do this? And like, and just biblical masculinity on, like, the practicals of it. And what does it look like to walk it out, to lead yourself well, to lead your wife well, to lead your family well? Like, practically, what does that look like?
Right.
And
Mhm.
this coaching program and this mentorship is really what kind of opened the door for me. And that was the journey, like, the beginning of my journey in terms of, like, mentorship and coaching. And just because it was a game changer.
Yeah. So, I think you said a lot of stuff that dads can relate with. And I think also things that, maybe guys like Andrew who are hoping to be dads one day that they look at apprehensively. And that's like, okay, like, yeah, how do you prepare yourself? And sometimes you just can't.
Yeah.
And it being scary, I mean, it kind of, like you said, you had your rhythms in place and then baby came and then all of a sudden that's just out the window. So you're trying to build new rhythms and you're like, I don't even know if I'm doing this right. And so I think that stuff, I know that's something I can relate with. And then so you're at that point, it's like, okay, how do I guide my wife? How do I be the husband and father that I need to be? I think that's something that all of us can relate with. There are some of us who, may be inclined to like, okay, I'm just going to go, like, I'm going to play video games or I'm going to, just have a drink or two or five because just to kind of calm my nerves and help me sleep or, all these things that like we can be tempted to turn to. What led you to kind of like dig in your heels and turn to podcasts and like start doing research to see, okay, like I can do it better, I can do it different, as opposed to just kind of like looking for the escape?
That's a good point. And then that also brings something else up. Like I did look for the escape. There was
Mm-hmm.
a period of time, to a degree, like it was a little bit. I'm trying to remember the timeline. It was a little bit of a both and. So I was looking for ways how to improve and how to make it better because I knew that like I just wanted improvement. Like I wanted it to be better. And I was like, I really can't control anything other than me. So I'm going to
Mm,
figure out what I need to be doing differently. But the flip side of that is like, I'm glad you brought that up, Paul, because there was a time where like I wasn't getting drunk, but I was, having a little bit more alcohol than I should be in the evening, just
Mm-hmm.
trying to breathe and chill out and then like try to get some rest. And it
Yeah.
was one of those things where, my wife, she looked at me one night, she's like, that's like concerning me a little bit. And I was like at the time, it kind of was like a punch in the nuts. And I was like, excuse me? Like what? Like this is
Mm-hmm.
not like I'm not drunk. I'm not like I have control of this. Blah 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 whatever. And I did, but at the time I was going too far, and I didn't see it until I was like, maybe I need to heed this a little bit. And so I started backing off. And then now looking back, I'm like, that was a little more than like a drink in the evening. Um,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
and so it was one of those things like I was grateful for her honesty because
Yeah.
she's always been honest. Um, but I was grateful for her honesty because it was like, wait a minute, I am trying to escape. And that's something, Paul, that I think even like just as men in general, that's our default is like escapism. Like what can I
Mm-hmm.
do? Like what kind of advice can I use to make myself feel better? And so
Right.
that's something that we have to, harness and be able to use that in some type of positive way because there are a lot of negative directions that we can go. But at the end of the day, like I wanted it to be better and I knew that things had to change because we were doing the same things and we were just getting the same results and I just didn't know what else to do. I was like,
Yeah.
I want this better and I'm going to start looking on how to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Was there like because you talked about the mentorship and just surrounding yourself with other Christian men that share the same values and faith as you and rallying around each other at was there like a point where you were like, I can't do this alone, I need other men? Like you said, you had a good father figure, you already had a good role model and man in your life, but where like yeah, you just came to that point like, I need other guys, I need that.
I think I came to that point on accident,
Okay.
truthfully, because it wasn't, I've always, like, my temptation has always been, like, which I think is a lot of men, it is very self sustaining,
Yep.
like, very quote unquote lone wolf analogy, which is, I see now as absolute garbage,
Mm-hmm.
but that's kind of what I leaned to at the time. And so when I got into the program, like it was group coaching. So it was not
Okay.
one on one, which was huge. Like I needed the group coaching.
Yeah.
And I had, through my kind of like self development, because at this point I had already started leaning into kind of personal development and like reading some books and listening to some podcasts. But when we had our son, I really dove into like specifically husbanding and like fathering
Mm-hmm.
and godly like manhood and what does that look like.
Yeah.
And so I had been hearing this phrase time and time again of like, you are the sum of the five people that you hang around the most.
Right.
And I honestly, I was getting pissed off. I was sick of hearing that phrase because I was like, I hear this over and over and over again. I don't know where these men are.
Right.
Like,
Hmm.
I want to be around them, but I don't know where to find them. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Where am I supposed to, like, the guys that are doing better than me that I want to emulate, where do I find those guys? And so when I got into the mentorship and into the coaching program, it was an unlock, because now I was surrounded by men that wanted the same things that I wanted, and also had the guts to invest their time and their money and their finances into that very program. So it was like, these guys are next level. Like, these guys are not guys that I'm going to look at and go, yeah, I'd like to be better one day. No, these dudes are actually taking action towards that and putting their money where their mouth is.
Right.
So that was the unlock for me. It was like, okay, now I get it. Like, I had to start, like, I had to invest. I had to put my money and my time and myself and my pride on the line, and I had to pay to be in the room. And now I'm in the room, and now I'm surrounded by these men. So that was a big unlock for me. It was like, if you want to find those guys, like, if you want to find men that are doing more than you, that are doing better than you, that you can kind of emulate and surround yourself with, you might have to pay to play, and you might have to invest to get into the room.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I think that is a really, like, deep statement. Like, you might have to pay to play, and I think that is what is scary, because then that means you have to show up. And paying to play might look different. It might look like actually putting literal money on the table, or giving credit card numbers, whatever. Or it might just be a matter of time, or giving your verbal commitment to other men and saying, hey, I'm going to show up at the same time, same place every so often, whatever it is. But either way, you are forcing yourself to go from that moment of like, oh yeah, like, because I've asked myself the same question, like, where are these guys? But then that's a nice question to hide behind. Like, because then if I don't have the answer, I don't have to do anything. But once you actually force yourself to answer that question and force yourself to pay, okay, now you got to show up. Now you don't have any excuses. So that was a powerful statement, Sean. And you said you kind of fell upon it by accident. Like, what would you say to the guys who are maybe still hiding behind that question, or are afraid to put skin in the game?
That's a good question. I would say this to both the guys that are hiding behind the question and the guys that are afraid to put skin in the game. It's one of those things, like, you eventually get to the point to where you just want things to change. And when you get to that point, like, you'll make the decisions that you need to make in order to actually move forward. Because like you said, Paul, like, it is a very convenient thing to hide behind. It's like, well, I want to surround myself with these men, but I don't know where they are. So that means I don't have to do anything. And that just keeps you kind of in that comfort loop. Because once you actually break it down and you set your pride, like, to the side for a minute, and you go, wait a minute, I actually need help. Like, I actually can't do this alone. And you see the unlock that comes from being surrounded by men that are doing the things that you want to do, or men that have already done the thing that you want to do. And in terms of, like, supercharging your progress and supercharging your life, it is insane. Like, since that time where I paid for that first coaching and that first mentorship, I've had a coach of some sort since that. And that was 5 years ago. So I have now since, like, invested thousands of dollars into coaching and mentorship at this point, because it was like, once I hit that unlock, I was like, this is stuff that I've been trying to figure out on my own for years. And I had no idea where to go. And I'm making, like, little to no progress. And now I've made insane progress in a month. Like, it just, talk about a supercharge. It's insane. But it's one of those things, is like, we get scared because it does cost them, like, it's an investment, and it's like, well, I could spend money on this and I could spend money on that. And at the end of the day, it's like, or you could invest money on yourself, which is going to pay dividends to your family in the long run. Like, put the material things aside for just a minute, invest in becoming a better man, because now you show up as a better husband. Now you show up as a better father. Now you're probably, like, developing skills to where you're probably capable of making more money, or, like, things are clicking so that you can now take the money that you invested in yourself, and you can build more of it because you've become a better man.
Yeah. Can you give us an example of, like, one of those things that you noticed was supercharged, like, that all of a sudden you are able to do more in a short amount of time than you could on your own?
So the biggest thing in that first coaching program was my patience. Like
Hmm.
I don't know how. I don't know if it was a gift from God or what it was, because I had been praying for patience for a long time. And if you're a Christian, like they tell you specifically don't pray for that, because that just means, your life is kind of going to become a living hell, because the Lord is going to try to teach you patience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yes. Yes. So I'd been riding that line for a while, and then, I got into this program and things started to unlock for me, and it was just like all of a sudden it was much easier for me not to lose my cool. And again, I still to this day, I'm like, I don't know if it's just a blessing from the Holy Spirit, or if it's just because now I have the knowledge and the confidence to do what I feel like is best for my family. And
Hmm.
so like it helps me to be more patient. But that's one of the things there. And then in terms of like business, I've had a business coach now for a couple of years at this point, and I've been able to feed my family off of my business, and my business is still very, very new. And I don't think that I would have been able to do that by myself, or it would have taken years and years and years. And I didn't want that.
How much of like these principles that you're learning are you just straight taking and applying in your like training career and coaching and helping these guys, develop better lifestyle habits?
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of them. That's another beautiful perk. And I was talking to somebody had reached out to me, I think on TikTok last week, and we were talking through this, and they were a coach, and they had, I had posted something and it resonated, so they sent me a message. I'm like, that's great. Like, and we started talking, and they said, well, actually, I'm a certified coach. And I was like, oh, cool. And I said, have you ever thought about getting a coach? And they said, well, no, because I'm a coach. And I was like, well, I'm a coach full time, and I have a
Hmm.
coach, and sometimes he has a coach.
Yeah.
Like, and what I learned from my coach, like my coach is further along than I am in his fitness journey. I wouldn't even call it fitness. Like, this dude holds a world record for deadlift.
Oh, wow.
This guy's insane. But so he's further along than I am. So I'm learning from him, and stuff that I'm learning from him, I'm applying to my clients. So it's making me
Right.
a better coach. So yeah, it's 100%. Like, as I'm learning stuff with my business coach, if it's a principle that applies to everyday life, which most of it does, if it's a mental thing or whatever, like I'm taking that and I'm talking to friends about it, and I'm helping them on their journey, or I'm talking to clients about it, and I'm helping them kind of like reframe stuff in their mind so that they can look at it in a different light, so that it serves them better. So
Right.
yeah, it's 100% of like what I learn, I'm able to pass on. And sometimes like I'll have a meeting with my business coach one week, and then the next week something comes up and I can apply that directly to a client or to a friend.
Right.
So it
Awesome.
100% makes me a better coach.
Awesome.
Something that I see in the like mentor-mentee relationship is a parallel to father-child relationship as well. Either the parallel I see is basically like you can either do it alone and struggle along, or you can bring somebody else in and then all of a sudden tenfold results, like you were saying. And that's something I think we can look forward to with our kids too, is like either we can just like do the bare minimum and let them flounder along, or we can invest ourselves intentionally and all of a sudden help them become not that it's all about like 10xing everything we do, but help them become more the individuals that they're meant to be, and help them have happier and more fulfilled lives than otherwise. Why wouldn't we want to kind of create a snowball effect that will not only impact our kids or not only impact our mentees or won't only impact us, but then is going to have a ripple effect, throughout all the other people that come into contact with our mentees or our kids or whoever it is or ourselves. Like, why wouldn't we want that?
Right.
Like, why wouldn't we want to have a more positive impact? So yeah, so thank you for being an example of somebody who's taken that leap and who's invested in that. And you are kind of an example of that because you went in as a mentee and then now you do have your own coaching and training program. On that note, there's something that like your most recent post on Instagram that you said that struck me. And it's not necessarily, and I'm probably butchering it here, but it's not necessarily that we're lacking discipline, but that we're lacking systems. And that kind of was a mental unlock for me because I think
Hmm.
if anybody listening to this is like me, they have found themselves crippled because they're like, oh, I'm not disciplined, or like I don't have the willpower, or I don't have the motivation. But your post kind of like gets past all of that. And it's like, okay, that's actually not the problem. Here's what it is. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, it's huge. I mean, discipline is cool. Discipline is fun. Discipline is an awesome buzzword. Motivation is the same way. And I've seen in periods of my life where like if something isn't moving as quickly as I want it to, or I don't feel like I'm executing well enough, it's always that kind of go back to, well, I'm just not disciplined enough. And it got to where it was kind of painful because I'm like, I'm a pretty disciplined guy. And if things weren't going, like I said, if they weren't going like I wanted them to, it was just like, well, I just need to be more disciplined. And it's just like, or you can just set up things that make it easier for you to win, like which is the systems and the structures. So when we're talking like
Yeah.
in terms of, I want to hit two sides to this. So when we're talking like in terms of working out, you like the system that you set up there is like you set an appointment with yourself on your calendar from this time to this time, you're working out. Like
Hmm.
it's an appointment. You don't just blow off the doctor. You don't blow off the mechanic. Like, so you have to learn how to not blow off yourself. So, 11 to 12, like at lunchtime, I'm going to work out. And then when that time comes, guess what? You're in your gym clothes or your gym clothes are packed or whatever. That's another little piece that you can add to it. And, you've got your gym bag right there. You look down, it's 11 o'clock. Maybe you set an alarm goes off and it's like, now's my workout time. Now I'm going to go work out. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter if you want to do it because I've been doing this for over a decade. The
Yeah.
vast majority of the time, I could find other things to do that I feel like are probably more important than my workout at that day and time in that very moment, especially if it's a day where like my coach has me doing legs and I don't want to do legs because they
Hmm.
hurt and it's going to be uncomfortable. So it's one of those things. It's like, no, actually I set an appointment. 11 to 12 was my workout time. So I'm going to go and do that. So that it just takes the feelings out of it because that's the problem. The problem is sometimes we feel like it and sometimes we don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And then the other side to that is the nutrition piece. Like get rid of the junk in your house. Like when you go to the grocery store, go with a list, like either do grocery pickup or go in there with a list and get only what you have on the list. Because I'm telling you, at 9 o'clock at night, when you're hungry and you're watching TV with your wife and you want a ginormous bowl of popcorn or half a bag of Doritos, if you
Hmm.
don't have them in the house, guess what you're not going to eat?
Those
It's like,
things.
those things. Wow. Okay. Shit. Like, holy cow. Or we have this thing of like, well, I'll just buy them. Like, this is what I hear from dads. I'll just buy them for the kids. My kids want them. I'm like, bro, if they're not good for you, they're not good for your kids.
Right.
And I'm not saying you can never have them. Have them occasionally. But if you have them sitting in your house, if I have the stuff sitting in my house, guess what I eat?
All
The
the
stuff.
time.
Like,
Yeah.
it's there. I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
And especially if it's on the counter, man, like Christmas time comes around and we got cookies sitting out. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm killing some cookies. Like, it's just not good. And then 3 days later, I'm like, holy Christmas. I am not like doing the things that I said I would do. Now we're getting into like, we're starting to erode self-confidence because all these promises that we made about staying on track and staying on goal, we're now breaking them. And guess what? Now
Mhm.
self-confidence is going down and now it becomes a never-ending cycle. So it's all
Yeah.
about making it easier for you to win than it is for you to lose, like with the food, like with the appointment on the calendar for working out, like you packed your gym bag the night before, like all of those itty bitty little things that you're like, those are not important. They are important because now
Yeah.
it's easier for you to win and to keep that promise than it is for you to go, I'm not going to do it today because you're already prepared.
I want to ask you a question about the nutrition because this is something that, and I know you're big about leadership in the home, and leading your family, leading yourself first so as to lead your family. And this is where I have not been doing that. And that's like, okay, yeah, like I could, say, okay, or like talk with my wife and try to come to an agreement about like what we're going to allow in the house and what we're not, but I haven't done that.
Hmm.
And it's always been like, well, my goals aren't necessarily her goals and all the excuses. I'm sure you've encountered clients with the same thing, or maybe you've encountered it yourself. Like, h- how have you, like, what would you recommend to get you and your wife on the same page to kind of like start implementing something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a big part of that is you making the decision for yourself because it's one of those things like you can't make your wife do anything. So if she doesn't like if she has no desire to go down that road, like okay. But it has
Mhm.
to be that's where like the conviction piece, like Paul's convictions have to be stronger than hers on that. Because if Paul's like, hey, this is what it takes for me to become the man that God has called me to be, and this is what it takes for me to be a better husband and a better father, like I'm going to do those things. Maybe she will support me through it, maybe she will make it easier on me, and maybe she won't. But like you have to be okay with both of those. Like it has
Yeah.
to come down to like Paul is making this decision for him because this is how he better serves God. This is how he better leads his wife and his kids. And it goes back to that self-leadership piece. Like we can sit and have the conversation all day, Paul. Like I can sit down with my wife and say, we're going to do this and we're going to do this and we're going to do this and we're going to do this. And she might go, that sounds awesome. And then I don't do any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Like that just eroded trust with us. And I didn't build up any kind of leadership capital because I didn't just go do the thing first. Like with your
Right.
fitness and with your nutrition, it's like, okay, I have goals. This is what it's going to take for me to meet those goals. I'm going to get started on that path. You might support me. You might not support me. Okay. But this is what it's going to take. And I'm going to do that regardless of that support because that's what, like I said, that's what helps me serve God better, love my wife better, lead my children and my wife better because I'm doing it from that place of like, I went first. It's just that classic leadership role.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's that's
Yeah.
something
No,
I
I
struggle with too.
appreciate you
So
sharing that. Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
so no, like so right now my 5 nieces and nephews live with me, and my older brother as well. So there's always cookies or ice cream in the freezer because kids got to have that. Or I guess, do you really? But, it's so after dinner, it's just like I see that. And yeah, it's just like you said, are my convictions strong enough or not? Have I really made that decision that I don't need this? Um, even going to the gym as a single guy, like I struggle with all of these things that you just talked about. And I can be going on doing really well in a program. I make it 6 months, go on a vacation trip, come back, and like that when Monday rolls around, I'm not at the gym. It's like, what happened?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's such a good point because I mean I struggle with the same thing. When it's the longer the period of time where you don't go, and the longer period of time that you fall off, the harder and harder and harder and harder it gets to go back. So
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with a client the other day, and I shared with them. I'm like, do you know what consistency is? And they're like, well, yeah. Like, no, do you know what it actually is? And he's like, well, can you explain it to me? And it's like, it's just the period of time from when you stop a thing to when you start it again. So like eventually that time just gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And that's consistency. Like
Yeah.
just because I may be in great shape right now doesn't mean that I don't fall off the wagon occasionally.
Right.
It's just the stage that I'm at now, when I fall off the wagon, I just get back on the wagon faster than I used
Mm-hmm.
to. Same thing with you, Andrew. It's like, well, I was good for 6 months and then I got a week off and then Monday rolls around and I'm not there. And then Tuesday comes and I'm not there. And then Wednesday, I'm starting to wonder what the point is because I've missed 8 days now or 9 days
Exactly.
now. And like this just starts replaying in your head and you're like, well, now there's no point.
Yeah.
It's not
No,
true.
that's it.
Like,
It's
but
like you know
that's
me
what's
too
going through
well.
your head.
Yeah.
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 I've been there, dude, all day, all the time. But it's this thing of like, you just understand knowing in your head that like going back is going like that one day back, the first day back is always the hardest one. So if you can just go get that out of the way, dude, even if you go for 15 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
like just the fact that you went and walked in the door, you're like, I went to the gym today. I walked for 3 minutes. Like, I don't care. Because you know what? Now Tuesday is going to be easier instead of Tuesday
Right.
being harder because you've already like pushed that barrier out of the way.
That's a great point. Sometimes we can stress ourselves with I have to get back into the same program. And like you said, it's like, no, just go park your car in the parking lot of the gym and then go home if that's what it's gonna take.
Go through the motions. Like that's there's very few workout days that are just awesome. And so, like sometimes there is, and it's just like awesome. This is so cool. And then you have some that are like, this sucks, and I'm never coming to this place ever again.
Yep.
And then the vast majority of them are like, okay, we got that out of the way for the day. And you just keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And Sean, like, I just want to revisit what you said about consistency because I think that's a mic drop right there.
It really is.
Because that's shifting the target. Like, I think we are, so many of us, men, husbands, fathers, we're trying to stay in the saddle 100% of the time. Like,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
if we fall out of the saddle, we're failures. We have messed up. It's like, no. The goal is the destination. The goal isn't to stay in the saddle 100% of the time. It's just to get where you're going. And the only
Yes.
way to do that is to get back in the saddle. And if that all of a sudden becomes a rubric where it's like, okay, I just want to get in back in the saddle a little bit quicker this time, or just at all, boom, like then
Mhm.
then that's the win, and then that shifts your perspective of success, of confidence of yourself, and you're no longer a failure. So thank you for sharing that, man. That really hit me hard.
Well, it enlightened me to just how often we tend to overcomplicate these these words like discipline, motivation, consistency. I mean, that has to be
Yes.
the simplest, but yes, most close to truth meaning of consistency. You know, it's just a time to get back to doing something. And we're here I am just like, well, it means this and this, and you know, go on and on. It's like, no, that's
I'm
too
sorry.
much.
Can you watch something that's down
It's
Yeah.
here?
easier than that.
It is. And we think like, yeah, like you said, Andrew, all these fun Instagram hustle buzzwords, discipline and motivation and consistency. And it's like, shut the heck up. Like I'm so sick of here. Like yes, all of those are good things. And now shut up and go like real life, man. And the
Mhm.
real life is like I went on vacation and then I had so much crap to do on Monday that
Yeah.
the gym went to the wayside.
Yeah.
Cool, bro. Like real life. Now go Tuesday. Because
Exactly.
now it's going to be in your head. It's like, oh yeah, the first day back is the hardest. Let me go get it out of the way. It's probably not going to be awesome. It's
Mhm.
it's probably not. It might suck. It's probably not going to suck, but it'll at least be okay. I'm getting back in the saddle, and the time is getting shorter. And then now Wednesday's day 2, and it gets easier from there. And then we
Yeah.
just get right back to it.
Well, it just goes to like your whole systems over discipline saying, you know, putting those make it easier to win than to fail.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
again, that's just a complete truth, and just it seems too simple to be like that's not gonna work. That's not complicated enough. But no, it's the truth. It's we have all the means necessary at our disposal to make it easier to win, and we don't go for it.
And it's little stuff. Like
Yeah.
we always think it's this massive big thing that we have to shift. And it's like, no. Like if you start going to bed at the same time every night and getting up at the same time every morning and you start tracking how much water you drink, like you would
Mhm.
be amazed at the amount of like quality of life, like how much better your life gets by doing those two things that seem stupidly simple.
Right. I had a big mind blown moment just these last 10 minutes. This is awesome.
Let's go.
Thank you, Sean, for sharing that with us both, and hopefully the dads and aspiring dads, either got something from that or earlier in the episode. We are kind of running short on time, so we have a few questions that we like to ask each of our guests, and so we'll kind of go through these a little bit quickly, just one or two sentences, and yeah. So what does being a good dad look like to you?
Setting the example for my children and showing my sons what it looks like to be a good man.
Love it. What is the number one habit that helps you, or system, we were talking about systems, that helps you show up as a dad?
That's good. I don't know that I would pick habit. I would just say the daily routine. Like daily routines and rhythms are insanely helpful for you and for your kids.
Yeah, and so what would be one daily routine that
One piece of
helps
that,
you? Yeah.
I would say, I take it back to my faith. Probably trying to get into the Word and praying every day is something I try to do regularly. So that's the one I'd have to
Yep.
go with.
So
It's a good one.
is that a specific time of day, or what's that look like?
Yeah, so it's in the morning the vast majority of the time, and I'm going through a Bible study with a couple of dudes right now. So we have morning and evening right now as well. But for the
Okay.
vast majority of my adult life, it's been morning, but now it's morning and evening.
Yeah. Nice. And that Bible study probably helps add a layer of accountability too.
It does, because we have to text each other when we do it in the morning and
Yeah.
when we do it in the evening. So it's another
Yeah.
piece of that accountability and brotherhood that we
great.
talked about.
Andrew?
Paul and I have a similar thing going on. So
Nice.
we're
That's
just
good, man. The
just between the
accountability is
two of
huge.
us. Yeah, it is.
Yes. Yeah, it's huge.
Okay, I got one question. We didn't get into health and nutrition as much as I would have loved to pick your brain on that. But what's one key piece of advice that you would give to just single guys trying to make their life better in that regard?
Good question. What kind of woman are you trying to attract?
A godly one.
Okay. So that means that you have to become a godly man in order to do that. And
Yeah.
so for me, part of being a godly man, it's not all of being a godly man, but part of being a godly man is stewarding the body that he gave you well and
Mhm.
being a good, healthy temple to the Holy Spirit. So I would say, for single guys, it's like if you're trying to attract a godly, high-level loving woman, then you need to
Hmm.
be a godly, high-level man, and that's part of it.
That's I needed that. Thank you.
Of course, man. God was helpful.
My second question is, what key piece of, or not key, but just any advice do you have for a single guy or young married guy that's not yet a dad but wants to be a dad? What's the one thing you would advise him?
Focus on improving yourself more than you focus on improving your marriage, because you will improve your marriage by default when you focus on improving yourself, and yourself is the only person that you have control over.
Boom. Awesome, Sean. The final question is, where can people find you?
All the social medias. So Instagram and TikTok and X are at the Sean McManus, and then Facebook at Sean McManus. We're working on a website for McManus Strength and Nutrition. I've been saying that for a long time, but it is almost done. So eventually we'll
Heck yeah.
Let's
we'll
go.
throw that out there as well.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that's good.
Yeah, and we'll drop those links in the show notes, including
Mhm.
the website, because I imagine it'll be live by the time we're dropping this episode. And yeah,
Nice.
Sean, thank you so much for taking the time out of the day. Put in a pause in your yard work to chat with us. This was,
Yeah.
for me personally, it was very rewarding and thought provoking, and I'm sure the same for our dads and aspiring dads listening.
Yes.
But yeah, we covered a lot today. We covered a struggle that I think many of us can relate with, of recognizing that we're coming up short and wanting to do more.
Hmm.
And you shared your example of taking that step, taking that leap. We talked about the importance of, putting skin in the game, like committing ourselves.
Hmm.
And we also talked about, systems over discipline and what that looks like specifically. We um when it comes to nutrition, and then the piece that hit home with me the most is, just shortening that time off the wagon a little bit each time. So thanks so
Yeah,
much
Absolutely.
for helping walk us through all of that, and super excited to drop this episode.
yeah.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Yeah, this hour went by too fast, and now I have to go back to trying to make my yard look better. So that's what we're going to do.
All right,
You'll get
man.
it done.
Yeah, I need to do the same later today. All right,
If
Sean,
anyone
thank you so
can,
much.
you will.
Yeah, Sean, thank you so much. And to our listeners, be sure to, if any part of this episode struck you, be sure to share that with those around you. Lead yourself first and lead those around you. Sean, thank you so much. And Andrew, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Thank
Thank
you,
you, guys.
Paul. Thank you all.
All right, take care.